got 60 minutes of record time and about 45, 50 minutes of battery left.
How much time do we have for record time?
60 minutes and then about 45 minutes of battery.
Alright, cool. Well then, I won't, hopefully it won't take that long. Are you ready? Can you sit down?
Yeah, I'm all set. Go ahead and shoot some questions at
Alright,
me.
cool. So go ahead and look into the camera and tell me your first and last name, your age, your hometown, and your occupation.
My name is Cozza. I'm 28 years old. I born and raised in Petaluma, California, and I'm now a realtor.
You said you were born and raised in Cataluna?
No, born and raised in Petaluma, California. It's just north of San Francisco.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where that is. So tell me a little bit about growing up. I want to know, well, you're going to tell me where you're born, but I want to know parents, family life. I know you had some very interesting, tell me everything.
Okay, well, I was born in Petaluma and part of a pretty normal family with an older sister. My mom was my kindergarten teacher, which is kind of cool. She's been a kindergarten teacher for like 35 years. And my dad's a social worker at Cozza. But yeah, raised with my family's really open-minded. So from the very beginning, I'd been going to like really fun stuff. We'd go hiking. We'd even go down to festivals such as the Gay Pride Parade in San Francisco when I was like 3 years old. And just pretty diverse, culture growing up here in California. And I ended up joining the Boy Scouts of America when I was in my teens. And that's where I found my love for the outdoors was the Boy Scouts. And it's kind of funny, comes full circle. I ended up getting my Eagle Scout, and now I want to be on Naked and Afraid. But it's interesting because when I was in the Boy Scouts, I've had many different lives, but one of them was my stand against the Boy Scouts discrimination towards gay youth and adults and atheists. And so I took a stand against them while I was in the Scouts. I was 12 years old and didn't think it was going to be a big deal. Just started a little petition in my town, and it blew up into a national campaign and even became worldly. Called Scouting for All was the organization. It's still around. And pretty much what I was doing was trying to change their policy and make it so all people could be involved in the organization, making it better. And they actually made a film on it called Scouts Honor. It won some awards at the Sundance Film Festival. But anyways, to make a long story short, it's just kind of funny that now I'm going to be doing something that's similar to what I learned in the BSA. And a lot of my survival skills, first aid skills, came from my scouting experience. Some have come from other experiences, of course, survival situations. But besides that, I learned a lot in the Scouts. So, so I went through that program, and then I ended up getting into bike racing. I'm dyslexic, so in school, I had to find different outlets that I could succeed in, and writing and reading was definitely not one of them. So I was the kid who was always winning, in kindergarten, the sponge races and the fastest kid up the playground. And I'm very competitive when it comes to physical sports. Different situations I can be very competitive in. And so I excelled in sports, and I ended up getting into mountain biking. My friends got me into it. I took my mom's mountain bike one day and went with them and pretty much destroyed her little mountain bike. So they ended up buying me one and just fell in love with it. And then I broke my shoulder in a high school wrestling accident, and I had to ride on the road for a whole year. And that was where I fell in love with road cycling. It was '99 when Lance Armstrong won his first Tour de France. Really inspired by him at the time. And I got on the U.S. national team, started racing over in Europe. Lived in Europe for about 10 years, and 6 of those years I was a professional cyclist on Garmin, Team Garmin. So that was cool. And I definitely attribute a lot of my character and toughness to my experiences in racing. some of the hardest races in the world, such as Paris-Roubaix and other hard races. So that's definitely one of my talents, I would say, is that I'm just really tough, and I can handle a lot of punishment mentally and physically. Um, so, yeah, that's kind of a quick little timeline of my life story.
That's insane. You have like the lifetime of like two people and you're only 28. Like,
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. The Scouting for All thing was nuts because I started it when I was in junior high, and at first kids were making fun of me, calling me names. But then when they started to see me on TV, I was doing interviews in the morning. I had to miss parts of school, because I'd be doing interviews with the local news stations. They would see me on TV, and they started to think it was pretty cool. And then I started traveling around the U.S., speaking at colleges and talking about what I was doing. The craziest thing I did was I spoke at the Millennium March on Washington, and in front of about 1 million people, and that was pretty insane. That was a huge moment in my life, because I was able to speak to such a large crowd, and the mission, this whole thing was always about the journey, the mission, and what we were standing for. So to be able to connect with that many people was amazing. It was pretty cool.
wow. And so I guess your parents were behind it too, they had to do all this stuff. Like, what did your parents think when you first told them, like, hey, I'm doing this thing?
Well,
I don't know where it's going to go, but I really feel passionate about it.
yeah, they supported me, and I've always been one of those kind of guys who doesn't really think of the consequences before doing something, and I never really, I was young, and I never really thought about the risk or what I would be facing and what kind of walls I'd have to get through. And in a sense, that helped me achieve a lot of things in my life, because you can't let fear get in your way, and I still believe that to this day. And I don't know, I'd say I'm very proactive with my ambitions, creating opportunity. So they understood that, and they kind of know me, and they couldn't expect anything less, so they supported me for sure. They were nervous though. They were nervous because I did get a lot of death threats, and many death threats. If you watch the film Scout's Honor, you can actually hear one of them that I got. But many people were afraid and angry at what I was doing.
Wow. And so, all right. And so what's going on with you now? Are you single, married, dating? Like, what are you doing now?
I'm married. I'm married to a Southern girl. We got married last November, and she's from Georgia. So it's kind of funny because when we actually met at a bike race, and she was, as part of a part-time job, she really loved cycling. Her dad was always into it. And she ended up becoming a podium hostess, so she would help with the award ceremonies, just part-time, in some of the bigger races. And so we met at the Tour of Missouri. And it's a funny story how we met, actually. I ran into her in an elevator, and I introduced myself, and then that night I had a dream that she came into the room, and my roommate was giving like a PowerPoint presentation about me on the wall, and like talking about me and all this, and she ended up kissing me on the cheek. And then the next day I ran into her down in the bar area of the hotel, and I knew that they were the podium hostesses and the podium girls. And so I went up to her and I said, all right, I got to be honest with you. I had a dream that you came into my room last night and kissed me. And her friend goes, come on, like, that's not the worst pickup line ever. And I said, no, I'm serious. I really had a dream. I said I had to tell you because it was just kind of strange. And then so we just started talking, and from then on I went back to Europe after that race for a few months, stayed in touch. And then she moved in with me over there, and we got married. So yeah, now we're back in Petaluma. I ended up getting injured. My professional cycling career was cut short, unfortunately. I got injured. I ended up getting colitis. It's like an intestinal inflammation thing, and it's very minor, but it's enough to where I can't race professionally anymore. The way they drink all the sugars and the harsh diet that you have to do when you're racing, it was too much for my digestion. But it's not a problem now. I'm a real estate agent here in Northern California. I work for Frank Howard Allen Realtors, and it's pretty fun. I love it. It's actually really similar to bike racing, believe it or not.
Perfect. So tell me a little bit about kind of the places that you've been. I know that you did the Sierra Nevada, and you went to Everest, Chuck in the Paul. Kind of give me a list of maybe kind of in the timeline of all the places you've been able to use kind of your survival skills.
Yeah, well, I mean, starting off in the Boy Scouts, we would go on survival outings where we would go out and we'd do pretty much many naked and afraid trials, except for we weren't naked. It's the Boy Scouts, so we of course weren't naked. But that was where it started off, and then we'd do 50-milers, where we'd be out for a week hiking for 50 miles, and that was fine, but none of it was hard enough for me. I was always the one that wanted to go farther and do more, and the other kids in the group would always kind of slow me down and kind of irritate me. So as soon as I left the Boy Scouts, got my Eagle Scout, I ended up starting to do my own outdoor adventures, where I'd go out in the Sierras for a couple weeks at a time, just bringing a sleeping bag, really light gear, moving fast. I would sometimes do up to 30 miles a day, and then stopping for food. I'd live off of grasshoppers and trout, just kind of challenging myself. And this would be in between my racing season, so I'd come home and we'd get a month off in October and November, September, October, and November, and I'd go up there and just pretty much just be free to do whatever I wanted, because with racing it's such a rigid, you got to be really focused the whole year and do everything right to compete at that highest level. So when I come home, I just go out and just punish my body, doing epic hikes and walks. And one time I walked from Petaluma to San Francisco on the train tracks. That was probably about 50-55 miles. I did it in one day. Just woke up one morning and did it. No food, nothing. And then my sister picked me up at the Golden Gate Bridge. And then, anytime I can think of, I'm always thinking of my next adventure, trying to plan it out. And I've taken a break. It's been a little while since my crazy adventure days, but I did have a great adventure up in Nepal, where I went with my dad and we hiked through the Himalayas, and we went up to Everest Base Camp, and we actually ended up on our way back from base camp. It's about 18,000 feet. It got dark. My dad's quite a bit slower of a hiker than I am, and we didn't plan it so well, and we got stranded out there before we made it back to our camp, because we were doing a day hike up to base camp from our last camping point. And so we got stranded, not prepared to spend the night out there. Lost the trail, lost the route. Flashlights went out. It started to snow. It was 20 degrees below, and I was freezing. I had no body fat on me practically. My dad obviously does. He's heavier than I am, and so we ended up finding a little shelter. It's moonscape, so there's not much to make shelter out of, but we found a natural outcropping of a rock, kind of huddled underneath it for a while, for a couple hours. It was probably around 2 a.m. at this time. I'm starting to become hypothermic, and we're trying to share body heat, but it's not. I'm just freezing. So I say, Dad, we got to keep walking until we find something, or I'm just going to die if we just sit here. So, and I was also worried about him too. I mean, I don't know if I would have died, but I know we were freezing to death. So I decided, let's go. So I ended up finding some footprints in the mostly rock, but there's some gravel, sandy areas in between the rocks, and we followed these footprints. I would walk 10 feet ahead until I found some more, and then he would come up from the last ones to me, and then we kept doing that. We knew they'd lead somewhere, so we just kept following the footprints, and eventually we found them back to a little village, to where we were able to spend the rest of the night and collect ourselves. But I definitely had hypothermia and was dealing with that as well. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. We could have definitely been totally screwed out there. The week before, 6 hikers got lost and they never found them again.
So, okay, so here I just need you to list off all the skills that you can do. I don't mean I don't need like any explanation or um, how you've done or when you've done it or anything like that. I literally just need like I know how to build shelter, I know how to start a fire with
Yeah.
no matches, I know first aid, that I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I don't need an explanation on how you do it. I just need to know that you can.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, my skill set with surviving in the wild is pretty good. I mean, I know how to make shelters in many different situations. I know how to make fire without matches, a couple different ways. Finding water, making water work in an unsafe environment is a skill I have, depending on the materials I have. And then also tracking and hunting small game is another thing I can do. I'm very good at making traps, deadfalls, snares, other sorts to trap animals. And then first aid in the wild, I'm very good at. Learned that in the scouts. And orientation. I kind of always have a sense of where I am, depending on the situation, but I'm very good at finding my way out of situations. So those are my survival skills. And then on top of that I'm really street smart, pretty confident, and just mentally tough. I mean, when the going gets tough, if I'm in a team situation, I usually am the one to take charge and kind of help get everybody through the bad situation. I thrive in that kind of environment. I love the challenge of it, and I can handle so much pain. I mean, I don't know if it's mental or what, but pain doesn't really bother me in most situations.
Perfect. And what about navigation?
Can you say that again?
What about navigation?
Yeah, my orientation skill, my navigation skills are great. With a compass or without, I'm quite good at navigating around terrain and finding my way to select locations or ways out, or places to the best place to set up camp, that sort of thing. I'm very good at finding that out. Yeah.
I have in the notes here that people call you a homing pigeon.
Oh yeah, a lot of times I'm just really good at finding things, finding locations. So I've been called the human homing pigeon before, because I have a good sense of where I'm at, good sense of direction.
Perfect. And so what do you think is the first thing your partner's going to think the first time she sees you? What do you think her initial reaction is going to be?
Oh, can you say that again?
The first time your partner sees you, what do you think her initial thoughts or reactions are going to be?
I don't know. I think we'll both be pretty. We'll both be naked, so that'll be. I've never met another person naked in the wild before, so I think we're both going to be a little shocked, and it's going to be kind of a strange situation. But that will go away quick, and we'll get right to surviving. I mean, we know that. What's that?
Do you think that she's going to look at you though and go, oh, this guy definitely knows what he's doing? Or do you think she's going to take a look at you and be like, oh, this guy probably looks like a good city boy. I don't know if he can survive.
I don't know. I think she'll think I know what I'm doing. I mean, ideally, I'd be partnered with someone else who has some skills too that maybe I don't have, so that we can kind of complement each other. I just hope that, I think she'll think, oh, good, he's fit. I'm fit. I'm not overweight and out of shape. She'll think he's fit. He looks tough. He's going to be able to hunt for in the situations. He can help with that. He can, if I need him to lift up a log for the shelter, whatever, he can help me with that if I need help with that. And then I'm going to be hoping that she's going to be, have some skills too with maybe the local plant life. If it's edible, that's one area that I definitely lack. Maybe she'll be good at, helping me with the fire. Hopefully we'll complement each other is what I'm trying to say. And, I'm not the kind of person to just think I'm always right either. I can definitely be corrected. I just hope the person I'm paired with, I hope when I see them for the first time, I hope they don't come off as very egotistical and know-it-all. I hope they're willing to collaborate and be a team. Um, that'd be nice.
Who would be the worst person? Like who would be like the opposite of your ideal partner? Who would kind of like, what qualities would make you go, oh my god, I can't believe I'm going to be stuck with this person for the next 21 days?
Yeah, someone that's like really loud and obnoxious and just complaining and whining. I just can't handle that. I mean, in a survival situation, you only get one chance in many of the situations, and you have to make those decisions right. And if you're having to worry about someone complaining and whining and being loud and obnoxious, it's hard to focus on what you really need to do. So staying focused, someone who can stay focused, I mean, is important. But yeah, if it's someone that I have to, if it's just a whiny baby, it's going to be a tough 3 weeks. I'm going to really have a hard time. But I think I can handle it. I've dealt with so many different personalities on my bike racing teams, and I think I can handle really any personality. It won't be as enjoyable. That's for sure.
Okay. What's the one item that you're going to bring with you?
Oh, well, it just depends on the situation. The order of importance for things are, a shelter is one of the most important things. You can't live in some situations for more than 3 hours without a good shelter. Water, you can't live more than 3 days without water. And then food's 3 weeks. So it's tough, like I would want to bring like a big knife so I can, use it for making things and such, but then again, you can always make a knife out of broken rock, and you can break sticks to build a shelter. You don't really need an axe or anything for that. But if you don't have drinking water, you're done for. So, and I'm not the kind of person if I don't have to risk drinking unsafe water, I'm not going to do it. I mean, I really prefer not to go that route. So I guess if there's no way there's going to be a source for pure drinking water, and the environment doesn't create the opportunity to make water from like dew, or like in a field in the morning, it's got dew. You can actually take your shirt and run it through the field and get moisture that way and drink it and wring it out. But if the environment doesn't have that, then I might ask to bring a water purifier, and then hope that my partner asks to bring flint and steel, or an axe or a knife. But water is the main concern for me. That's for sure. Safe drinking water.
Okay. How do you feel? What do you think about being naked on the show?
My wife is more concerned about that than me. I don't know. I'm fine with being naked, I guess. I've been naked, I've been naked in the wild before. But I think my wife's concern more is being naked with someone of the opposite sex. She was saying, well, maybe you can be the first one to be on there, and they can pair you with the gay guy. And I thought, well, that might be actually kind of fun. Like that, that might actually be a good episode. Pair me with a gay guy. Especially with my background with standing up for gay rights. She's like, yeah, they can really test your tolerance for gay people. And I'm like, well, maybe they'll end up pairing me with a gay person or a transsexual or something like that. That'd be quite an entertaining situation. It'd be different than being paired with the opposite sex. But my wife's like, yeah, if they pair you with opposite sex, I really, really want them to pair you with like a butch lesbian. And I'm like, okay. So she can't be.
What about like just the fact that you're exposing areas that aren't normally exposed, like the sun or poison ivy or anything like that? Like, are you afraid of like sunburns or anything like that?
Well, I was thinking about that, but sunburn is, if you can, yeah, sunburn sucks, of course. I'm not Irish or anything. I am Italian, so I don't sunburn as bad, but still, you can get heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and all that. So I think the first thing I would do is try to make some, the shelter protects you from the sun, but like if we're on a tropical island and we got to be out on the beach hunting and stuff, getting fish, crabs, whatever, I would try to make, from palm leaves, I would make my own top dress to keep the sun off me. Make my own clothing if possible, cover me with mud, do what I need to do to survive in that kind of situation. And then in terms of like being protected from mosquitoes and that sort. Mosquitoes, believe it or not, don't even bite me, so I'm okay with that. They eat my wife like crazy. We go camping and she's just covered in red bug bites, and then I don't have a bite on me, so that always pisses her off. But I think my biggest concern maybe is about the whole show is, well, I guess my wife's biggest concern is when I get hungry. She always goes, whenever I'm being a dick, she goes, you must be hungry. Have you not eaten? And I said, oh, yeah, I haven't eaten. Because when I don't eat for a while, I do get cranky and I become a total son of a bitch. I become an awful person to be around. So, and that's about the 3-day point. Once I get past 3 days of not eating, I become normal again, pretty normal. But up until 3 days, I'm a cranky asshole. And I kind of worry for my partner in that sense on the show. But if we can find food right away, it won't be a problem.
Perfect. So why do you think you'll survive in the wild for 3 weeks?
Because I think I can do it. I've done, in my own chosen environment, I've done 2 to 2.5 weeks. And I just think I can. I'm mentally tough. Even if I don't find food in 3 weeks, I know that I could survive it, the 3 weeks without food. But I'm going to try to make it as luxurious as I can for me and my partner. I mean, I don't want to just go out there to suffer. I want to definitely try to to survive the right way. And then, yeah.
And why do you want to do this?
Oh, what's that?
Sorry, and why do you want to do this?
I think the challenge of it really intrigues me. I really like challenges. And, I don't know, it just would be kind of cool to succeed in something like this. And prove to myself that I can do it. I love the show. I mean, when it first came on, I was like, what the heck? I told my wife, I'm like, Jen, can you believe this? There's a show on right now called Naked and Afraid, and these people are out in the woods together naked. I mean, this is awesome. It was almost comical to me. I was like, I gotta try to get on this show. This would be perfect. This is the perfect show for me. Perfect challenge. And, I don't know, it'd be just a cool challenge.
Perfect. Those are all my questions. Unless there's anything else you want to add, anything I forgot to touch on, anything like that?
I do have to say, everybody's asked me, I've told people I'm going to possibly be on the show, and they're always like, well, do you win anything? And I go, I don't think so. And I don't think so. So I was going to say, it would be nice if there was something at stake. I mean, I know my pride's at stake, but like something that you could win, that would be pretty cool. Because then that'd be a huge incentive. But if there was like some prize at the end, that'd be awesome. And then also the TV, during the show, you'd be, oh man, you'd push yourself even harder knowing that there's something at stake other than just your pride.
Yeah, I